Death is a mysterious thing. There's no wonder mankind has found hundreds of different ways to cope with the idea over the thousands of years we've been around. It's so evasive, so difficult to study, and yet comes for us all in time. It is the great plot twist at the end of our existence, with no way to know what lies beyond the horizon. But there are those who reportedly come about as close as anybody can to death. Those who push to the brink of the abyss and claim to see all sorts of visions of their gods, their families, or other planes of existence. These near-death experiences are too numerous to simply dismiss as fiction. These people truly go through these mystifying experiences as their minds and bodies begin to fail. The real question is, are these experiences truly a glimpse into some sort of life after death?
I knew I was there, I could hear things, but I wasn't really conscious. And then the next thing after that I remember was seeing myself on the emergency table.
And it slowly crept in, it was all white, and it kind of circled in like a spiral, and it just got smaller and smaller.
First thing I noticed was the vertical and horizontal river of white and gold.
I realized that I had the choice whether to stay in my body or to exit. I knew that I was eternal, I knew I'd been here before, and I knew I would continue on.
A near-death experience is any sort of profound personal experience that takes place when one is on the cusp of death. Witnesses report everything from a bright tunnel of light to the experience of exiting their bodies, floating up into the air, and looking down at themselves from above. When the body begins to fail, when your heart stops and oxygen fails to reach your vital organs, your consciousness begins to suffer, to break down. We all know the human body can be impaired and what effects this can have on a person's behavior or frame of mind. The truth is that death, or at least the death that really counts, the death we mean when we speak of those who are buried in the ground or scattered in the wind, is final. These people aren't dying. Not really. Not in the way that matters. Which means however much these experiences might be able to tell us about ourselves, and however they may change how we see the world and the people within it, they are not visions of death. Only visions. Because even as your heart stops, you are not dead until you truly, finally stop living. If these experiences were evidence of some sort of afterlife, some sort of world beyond the horizon, we would expect the reports to be pretty consistent. But although certain imagery is somewhat common, like the tunnel of light, more often than not, the experiences tend to tie into the pre-existing beliefs of the survivors. And that's why, for many people, NDEs represent substantial evidence for their religious beliefs. They claim to meet with their God, or with their prophet, or with their dead relatives in the afterlife during these brief moments. And although it's more common for religious people to experience NDEs, even some non-believers report mystifying, out-of-body experiences despite their lack of faith. Without any specific doctrine to take the shape of, these experiences seem to be very similar to those reported by people taking psychedelic substances like LSD or DMT. They report meeting strange, interdimensional life forms, or feel themselves explode into a burst of energy sprawling throughout the universe. These scrapes with death can have a dramatic effect on the way a person lives their life. But in each and every case, the experience is different and personalized, not unlike as if the person was simply having a very intense dream. The most widespread attempt to explain NDEs is known as the dying brain hypothesis, which proposes that near-death experiences are hallucinations caused by activity in the brain as the cells begin to die. The theory rests on two key arguments. The consistency argument, which asserts that NDEs taking similar forms in different people across different cultures, such as the tunnel of light or the out-of-body sensation, are a direct result of human brains, hormones, and nervous systems being relatively similar to one another. And the hallucinatory argument, which asserts that similar experiences and states of mind can be achieved without triggering an NDE at all, such as with the use of psychedelic substances, and can therefore be explained away as hallucinatory imagery. And in terms of evidence for any sort of consciousness after death, the proposed mystical elements of these experiences result in nothing more than testimony. And on top of that, although NDEs are almost always said to be extremely positive, healthy, reflective experiences, the number of people who have a negative NDE is higher than you might think. They can lead to symptoms of PTSD, like recurrent intrusive recollections of the event, recurrent distressing dreams of the event, diminished interest in previously important activities, estrangement from others, and a sense of foreshortened future. And that really shouldn't come as a surprise. Facing the concept of mortality can be a heartbreaking experience. So when we come close to death, it's only natural that we go through dramatic changes as our priorities, our goals, our memories, and our regrets are all thrown into a new perspective. Whether these people are seeing aliens or gods or their grandparents during these NDEs, over half of these people report their experience directly resulting in large changes in their lives. The brain plays all sorts of tricks on itself to keep from thinking too much about its own mortality. We might get lost in the vast, complex world we live in at times, but we generally feel like we have enough time to figure it all out. There's plenty of time, plenty of chances, and tomorrow is another day. When we're on the brink of death, that illusion is shattered, and we realize that if we intend to make something of our lives, we don't have much time left to get to it. If we can learn anything from NDEs, it's not where we go when we die or which religion is true, but that our daily lives can often blind us from what really matters. But maybe we don't need to get hit by a bus or go into cardiac arrest just to learn how truly small each one of us is. Maybe we just need to occasionally entertain the thought that this life could end at any moment and act accordingly.